Dixie moonlight, Swanee shore, heading homebound just once more to my Mississippi Delta home, my home.
You can learn a lot about a culture or place through sheet music titles, song content, through the lyrics, cover art that you see on the sheet music itself. And Mississippi is no exception. When you see a lot of music from the South or about the South, particularly music that was printed in the late 1800s into the first 3 or even 4 decades of the 20th century, we see a lot of nostalgic visions for the Old South, for this sort of glorified place that really never existed. There are a lot of myths that come through in sheet music, myths of the sort of antebellum period in the state, myths of the plantation life. There's also a lot of lost cause myths that make their way into sheet music. You can see a lot of songs, Sing Me a Song of the South, I Love the Name of Dixie, and you see a lot of these images portraying life in the South, people working a lot of agrarian work, particularly cotton. Shows up a lot in these sheet music covers. Pick Me Up and Lay Me Down in Dear Old Dixieland. You see a lot of this just glorified visions of the Old South where everyone got along. There was never any racial tension. Everybody loved everyone else. But you also see in a lot of the Mississippi imagery, somebody once described it as a lot of this sheet music as moonlight and magnolias, because these appear in so many of the covers. Mississippi Moon, a variation of Mississippi Moon showing 2 of the singers who made it popular. Another Mississippi Moon, always it's a moon shining usually over a river or over a cotton field, and it's bringing up all of these ideas of this beautiful South that everyone wants to return to. And of course, a lot of these songs, there are songs about the state specifically, but also about the Mississippi River. And sometimes it's hard to determine which is which. You see a lot of these images of just nostalgia, people longing for home. And a lot of this music was written by songwriters in Tin Pan Alley. So Tin Pan Alley really describes a number of sheet music publishing companies in New York that really got started in the late 1800s and 1880s and lasted through, some people say up to the Depression, some people say it continued on to the early 1950s. But a lot of these people who wrote these songs, they never lived in Mississippi. Many of them never lived in the South. Many of them were European immigrants who had recently come to America. And so we see through these their kind of ideas of what they think Mississippi is like. So there's a lot of nostalgia for places that these people never even saw in the sheet music. Selections from some of this sheet music and more will be on display in Archives and Special Collections exhibit dedicated to the Mississippi Bicentennial.